I love holding these types of sessions, and I can see that there's some great questions coming through already, because a wonderful one from Craig, what do I see the impact being of AI? And it's massive. So I will certainly address that as we go along. I will stay online at the end of the session as well. If anyone has particular questions, we'll turn off the recording, and then you are welcome to use it. And wow, I'm seeing people giving us really great examples of how they're using ChatGPT. So keep sharing. That is really fantastic. So before we go any further, I'd just like to do an acknowledgement to country. MCI acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their continuing connection to land, sea, and community. We pay our respects to them and their cultures and to their elders, past, present, and emerging. And we're coming to you today from Gadigal land. So I can already see people in the chat have already been typing in about how they've been using it and saying how amazing it is, and how I think if some of you have been using it, please applaud those who have been the brave ones stepping into the new frontier. And if you haven't used it at all, no problem. That's why you're here today, and we're really excited to share with you a little bit about what is ChatGPT and why we think it's transforming the world, absolutely including learning and development. We'll get into just how do you get started, and then I'll go onto my screen and we'll see it live. It's always my favorite part of the session, because I wish all the cameras were on, because I just love seeing people's faces when they see what it can do for the first time. But anyway, we'll leave the cameras off if you want to. We'll then look at how you can use ChatGPT in your work, and certainly in L&D as well, and close off with some questions. So, but I'm happy if you keep the questions going. What they're calling artificial intelligence at the moment is not a mega trend. They're calling it a giga trend, because that is how massive it is. And usually we talk about, the few new trends emerging in the world when we're talking ChatGPT and the artificial intelligence of which ChatGPT is a subset. It's big. I don't know any other word that can describe just how big. So if you just zoom out a little bit and think, what is artificial intelligence? It's when machines, like computers, are programmed to think like humans and mimic their actions. And so if you start thinking about that and some of the fears around artificial intelligence, you can see where that comes from. Because some of you anyway will have been using artificial intelligence in your normal lives. I'm sure some of you have got facial recognition on your phones. You've got speech recognition for other things. If you're doing some internet searches, you'll see up pops. If you've been looking at holidays in Bali, the algorithms and the machine will have learned your behaviors and will start posting up more adverts for you about Bali. You'll be talking to Siri, other chatbots. If you've done any kind of customer service to the call center, talk in or type into the chat, and the chatbot is helping you. And even if you on Google, for example, and it starts sorting your emails out for you, those lucky ones on Netflix and Amazon, you're getting all your movie and your book recommendations. So you are already experiencing artificial intelligence in some way. And machine learning is a subset of that, because it's teaching the computer to learn by itself. So when we learn from experience. But when a computer or the machine learns, it's learning from the data and it's improving all the time. So a useful example, and I have to confess that this example was given to me by ChatGPT, and I will acknowledge that it is. If you think about how you would teach a child to recognize a cat, you kind can't show a child every single possible variation of a cat, the fat ones, the thin ones, the black ones, the white one. It's not possible. But the child starts to recognize these patterns of the cat. And that is what the machine learning, like ChatGPT, is doing, is you feeding it those algorithms, you feeding it all that data, and it starts to recognize these patterns and these features of this metaphorical cat. So that's what Amazon or Netflix, as I said, has been doing. It's being fed this data, and it's learning from the patterns of your past behavior. And that's how it's able to push out recommendations to you. So it's being experienced already, but certainly when it comes down to ChatGPT, this was only launched towards the end of last year. And when people first said it to me, I thought, you know, like another app, another this, another that, like, where's it going to go? But it is slowly but surely taking over because it is being trained on huge amounts of text. You can imagine how much text and knowledge and information exists in the internet, and it's been taught how to find the patterns and produce answers for us when we ask it questions and when we give it a prompt. So it's been trained to interact with humans. So I hope that that's making sense for everyone. And if you just look at this chart, and this data was from January this year, so you can imagine by this time now, it's well over 100 million users. They reckon that soon it will be 1 billion users in the world who are accessing ChatGPT. It's taken off faster than any of the other social platforms. It's, you know, if you just look there where Instagram was and people's adoption of Instagram, ChatGPT far outpaces that. So it's here, and it's happening whether we want it or not. We do have to acknowledge, as I said earlier, that it does make people nervous. Artificial intelligence does, you know, it's the unknown. We don't know where this is going to go. You might see a lot of articles in newspapers and magazines, on TV about, you know, the computers are going to take over the world now and humans will be eradicated. There's huge questions about ethics and bias because we don't know when the machine learned all this information, we don't know what biases and prejudices were built into that information. There are people who think, well, it's going to take my job. I mean, let's be frank. The other day, somebody put up a post in one of these Facebook groups and said, could somebody please recommend me a copywriter? And I actually felt like writing into one of the responses, yes, ChatGPT. So there's a job that might change quite substantially as well. Plagiarism. We're a vocational training provider. I don't know if the student put the answer in from ChatGPT or whether it's their own original work. And I can absolutely assure you that there is no mechanism that is available that can determine that. So that's where we stand with education for any of you who have kids and who are still in the school system and learn how to use ChatGPT. But the plus side of things is that everybody can become Einstein because ChatGPT can pass medical exams. It can do better than legal students and pass the law exam. No one can detect in assignments what's really going on and, you know, what is plagiarism now anyway? And so with so many people having access to this artificial intelligence, we're in for a massive transformation and, well, I suppose buckle in. The way that I see it and the way that we see it in our own business is that it is like having a personal assistant that enhances productivity. And I will give you some examples, particularly of how we use it in learning and development, because I am the firm belief that you cannot uninvent what has already been invented. ChatGPT has been invented and you can't wind it back. Yes, there are governments that are starting to put some guardrails up. There are policies coming that will determine how we use it. I know that some people in the Victorian government can't even access it. They've just completely blocked it. So yes, there are issues going around. But do I want to be like one of those scribes in the, I don't know what it was, 15th or 16th century, when the printing press came along? If someone can put into chat when the printing press was invented, and they said to Gutenberg, nah, nobody's going to want to read a Bible that hasn't been beautifully scribed by the scribes. Well, where did that end? We all got the Bibles now that have been printed thanks to that invention. So for me, I just love having this personal assistant. And if you want to type into chat and think even in the learning and development world, what are the kinds of things that you could be starting to ask ChatGPT to do? It's a long list. If anybody has already tried it in learning and development, go for it. Drafting emails, thank you, 15th century for the printing press. Absolutely, emails can be done. Think about your onboarding programs. Think about, thank you, introductions to assessments, absolutely. Think about setting out various modules of mini modules of an e-learning program. Think about quizzes, thank you very much. Think about comparing, yes, different types of products. What a brilliant example. Writing quizzes. All of these, finding potential customers. The only thing to remember is that at the moment, ChatGPT has only scraped the data up until the end of 2021. I'm sure in the next release, it will, it will have scraped more. There's Miraki giving example, learning, course structure, content, learning objectives, job ads, thank you. All of these things are totally possible within ChatGPT. And here's just some of what I'm using it for myself. But there's somebody saying business cases as well. The emails we said, LinkedIn, I wouldn't even consider writing a LinkedIn post without ChatGPT now. Meeting agendas, follow-up items, doing research. It really is, and thank you everybody for typing into chat more and more of what can be done and how things have changed so radically with our new personal assistant. How many of you have ever in your careers had a personal assistant? I certainly haven't, but here is mine ready to go live. So for those of you who haven't signed in yet to ChatGPT, I have put the website up on the screen for you so that you can see that. And there is a paid version. I have to confess, don't tell anybody here, APM, but I have got the paid version because I just find it a little bit faster and it doesn't boot me out quite as quickly. But at the moment, ChatGPT is free. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch screens now, and I'm going to put us live now into ChatGPT. So I hope this is showing us as ChatGPT on the screen. No? Yes? Aha! Okay, so what would you like us to do today? Anyone got a suggestion for me? And I'm always very polite to ChatGPT. I once told ChatGPT that I loved it, but it told me that it doesn't it feel human emotion. So I was a bit upset about that. So please, ChatGPT, always be polite. Do me an email for new people joining our business. You've got to be quite specific now. We've got to say that maybe their age, they are about 30 years old. What else do we want to tell ChatGPT? We've got to talk about our tone. So we say make the tone friendly and welcoming. We've got to give a little bit of detail about what we'd like to say in the email. Please make them feel welcome and tell them to ask questions if they need more help. All right, I wish I could turn everybody's cameras on now so I could see these faces. And let's see what chat's telling me. So it's giving me the subject line of the email. It's setting it up for me, and here it goes. You're starting a new job. It's exciting. We've been in your shoes. Da 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 da. I encourage you to ask questions. Da 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 da. Okay. All right. So it's not too bad. I don't think this is quite in my tone. So what I will do after this is I will copy and paste this. I'll put it into a Word document and I'll make some of the adjustments to make it sound a bit more authentic for me. But I can give ChatGPT some feedback and say, Chat, that isn't bad. Please, can you make the sentences shorter? Please, can you make the sentences shorter? What else can I tell Chat? Maybe add some bullet points. Please, can you add bullet points? And maybe I'll tell him to add a bit of emojis and some emojis. Oh, geez. Okay, I'm getting really casual here. So let's see what happens. All right, giving ChatGPT another go. And let's see what Chat says. Oh, Chat, don't put a bomb out of me now. Okay, there we go. All right, so here I'm putting all my little emojis in. It's giving me a few more little extra bullet points, which I like. Meet your team. Yeah, to me, this is a better set out of the email. Again, I will still copy and paste this. There might be things that I want from the first email, and there might be things that I prefer from the second email. And just to give you one more example, I'll say, please give me 3 more optional subject lines, just so that you can see what Chat does. And there it is, welcoming. Oh, I like those. And then I will thank Chat. And let's see if Chat responds nicely to me as well. You're welcome. And I love it when it interacts with me. So I hope that that's given everyone a little bit of a sense of ChatGPT in action, because I'm hoping that that gives you a little bit of an idea of just the power of it, what can happen, what is possible. And I did this very, very quickly, and obviously, if you take a bit more time, you'll be able to think through just a little bit more information that you would give ChatGPT. So, and somebody saying they're great videos, and Justine's hoping that they remember who was nice to them when they take over the world. Okay, so it is something that is a little bit different and does depend on the prompts. And thank you, Craig, and people who are talking about the prompts. One day, maybe there's going to be a new job of a prompt engineer. That could come as well. But the secret is in the prompts, because the more accurate you can be in giving ChatGPT the information, the better it will be. An example of this is I have a friend who sells jewelry. So for maybe some of the women, you'll know what a tennis bracelet is, a bracelet made out of all diamonds all the way, and it's called a tennis bracelet. So that's something that she sells. And so she said, oh, I'm going to ask ChatGPT to write me a product description. So ChatGPT writes back and says, yes, here is a bracelet at a tennis court. she didn't give it enough information. So if we want to do and make it more clear to ChatGPT what we want our new personal assistant to do, we've really got to be very explicit, very specific. Otherwise, we're just going to get a jumble of things and we're going to spend hours saying, no, chat, I wanted it shorter, no, I wanted it longer. It's tone of voice, who you're writing to, what are the key messages, who's going to read it. So you've really got to think, and maybe that's why I do give the personal prompts to ChatGPT, our new overlords, because I'm trying to think of it as a human and as I would talk to someone in my team and give them appropriate instructions. I just say to the team, write me an email for the new people onboarding. What's the person know? How many are onboarding? How old are they? What jobs are they going to do? What, you've got to give more information. Otherwise, it's sort of garbage in, garbage out. You do also have to remember that ChatGPT can what they call hallucinate. In other words, it can be absolutely convinced that it's giving you the right information, but in fact, the facts are wrong. And it's, look, teachers also get things wrong, that it's not giving you what is in fact factual. So if you are doing research or anything that you are positioning as factual, you do have to make sure that you check it. You can ask ChatGPT to write in Australian English for you. I'm not sure how great that is, but generally it comes up as American English. So you have to just be careful of some of the grammar and the spelling and just check that before you send it out. But most importantly, tone of voice. Like neither of those two emails that we did were quite, like they didn't come across as genuine and authentic as how I would write. But there's some things in there that I could never have written as well as the ChatGPT. So I do have to do a little bit of massaging as well. And Craig's giving us an example there as well of that verb will be even, or they're going to take voice commands. Oh my heavens, Craig, you're going to explode me now if that's going to be the case. But can you imagine all of this happening? And in the future, without even, going any further, there is so much that is powerful. There's even ChatGPT also has DALL-E, which is able to do the images as well. And many people are going to start building more and more, like when you go into the App Store, they're going to build more and more applications on top of the basis of this ChatGPT. So as you're stepping into this kind of brave new world, which to me is, it's always like science fiction happening in front of our eyes. Don't give up too soon. Don't be like the friend with her tennis bracelet. This is rubbish. Keep refining your prompts, keep thinking about how you can do things better. This is the worst version of ChatGPT. So it's only going to get better from here. So each version that our new overlord Sam Altman brings out is just going to be better and better. So once you get to grips with what is possible, just think about how your world is going to change in so many ways. So I'm hoping that those of you who haven't done anything with ChatGPT are going to give us a thumbs up that you're going to give it a go. You're going to register. I'm seeing quite a lot of thumbs up coming, so thank you for that. Others, I hope that you're going to keep thinking about how to improve your usage of it. I just want to highlight for you as well that this is where the future is going as well, for whoever asked me about the future of ChatGPT and learning and development in particular, because the holy grail of learning has always been personalized learning. If we can personalize exactly what I need for my learning and development, can you imagine? And think as well about how you are going to be able then to have almost a coach guiding you. So for anyone who has children, I would highly recommend that you have a look at Khan Migo. We'll send you out a link to the Khan Migo site, because what it does is it's coaching children and helping and guiding them through their assignments, and it's helping the teachers as well. So the teachers are getting a teaching assistant. Can you imagine each child now having access to one-on-one tutoring? And Khan Migo was one of the first platforms to be built on top of ChatGPT. And when you see that in action, and think about that application in learning and development, can you imagine every person in our organization having a coach guiding them? I mean, it really is quite mind-blowing from that point of view. Catherine, the licenses seem to be individual at the moment, from what I can tell, but you know, every week it's changing. It is going to change weekly, and obviously, you know, to keep up with it is going to be jogging to keep up with it, and not sitting back and waiting for the information to come. Comments from anyone about how they see ChatGPT, the future of work? Craig saying it will be good for schools. I'd be interested to see what other people think. Do you see yourselves using it? How you'd be using it in different schools? How you think that it could be used in learning and development? And I reckon that this personal coaching is, I'd say, by the end of the year. We just came back from one of the largest education technology conferences in San Diego a couple of months ago, and they said by the end of the year, in corporate application, there'll be something that's going to give this personal guidance and give us our personalized learning experience, and I can't wait for that. But you know, you have to think as well about, what about people with learning management systems? And imagine how different they're going to look now if they're serving me up what I need. You can imagine also Microsoft has put $10 billion into ChatGPT, and Copilot is coming, which will be in the Microsoft environment, and that will be voice commands. I'll be telling them what to do with my emails, how to categorize them. Copilot, please can you summarize my last meeting, look at my last 10 emails and tell me what my action items are. I reckon that's already being piloted. So proofread my emails. Yes, 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 that's going to happen. And you can certainly train ChatGPT as well by saying, ChatGPT, I'm training you how to speak more in my voice. So that's another thing that it absolutely can do. And yeah, Star Trek, here we are. True. So please, guys, keep asking us questions or any other comments, and we'd love to hear from you. We will send you a recording. We'll send you the shortened version where there's none of the interaction as well. If there's anyone you'd like to share it with in your organization, and somebody's hearing my South African accent and can't fix that with ChatGPT. So please let us know, and we'll send you a few of the links as well that I've mentioned today. So thanks, Catherine. Fabulous to have you. Grammarly, yes. Please keep giving us more and more of these different types of platforms that I haven't tried Grammarly, but hey, I'm open to trying anything. After being around for so long, I've got to keep moving forward. So thank you so much to everyone. Been wonderful to have you join us today. There's somebody's putting other apps into the chat for us, so thank you. We will share those with everyone. And I haven't heard of Hemingway, but I'm happy to give anything a try. So thank you, guys.